Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Again, not normally this informal, but this is the new jersey for the unified basketball team, so I thought I would
Good.
show it off because they came in today, so. Excited to hand them out this week because they're all personalized, so it's not just one. So got all of their first names on the back, so.
I love that.
Hopefully they have one number on both sides.
I'm gonna, if they,
Yeah.
I don't know if we have time to turn around, so I'll at least request for a discount on the next purchase.
It might be a ploy for the
Yeah.
refs and things
And
like
maybe they're just
that.
backwards, both directions.
Yeah.
Offense and defense. So school-based health center, phase one recap. So this is out of your board report. And I'll just go through the slides that are in the packet. This is a two-phase process that we've discussed previously. A $90,000 two-year grant from Oregon Health Authority that is intended to allow. It's a selective process. So you do have to go through a relatively rigorous vetting for your district to be considered fertile ground for a potential school-based health center, or amplification of other internal nursing and healthcare-based needs. We obviously met that, so we were awarded this two-year $90,000 grant, which officially on the books started January, February, but they didn't have their money ready to go until like May or June. So the process for most of the spring and even kind of into the summer was just a lot of brainstorming and internal conversations with Tracy Riches and myself and Danny, just kind of like, what are we looking at? And then we really started to gear up phase one, which scheduled to end on the 31st of December. Phase one is intended to be objective, unbiased, information collecting. So you are to go out to the district stakeholders, to the community stakeholders. You are to gather information about needs and wants and desires and what currently exists and what doesn't exist, and kind of vetting all that and packaging it together. And then on the 31st of December, no later than sending off to the Oregon Health Authority your synthesis, kind of a recommendation. And our package that I submitted, I think the day before I left for San Diego, it's about 150-page packet. So you did not get all of that, thank goodness. You didn't need all of that. But we kind of took that packet and put it into a couple of slides. Just so you had a sense of what phase one looked like, what the recommendation was, and then kind of what phase two would kind of move forward with. So phase one, again, we started in earnest in August. Solicitation for parent and community participation, and then August and September, pushing out a lot of online surveys. Again, we had fantastic participation for those online surveys. I think I don't know if I have the actual numbers in here, but I know I have. So of the staff, 75 of roughly probably a ballpark of 135 that would participate in something like this. 75 out of 135 is a pretty good number.
Yeah.
The community, the online survey piece, which wasn't the only collection piece for the community, was 125 responses, which was really solid. And then for our students, grades 6 through 12, we had a little over 250 responses. So for our online surveys, we actually felt really good with those numbers. It doesn't capture everybody, but it's statistically, it's a pretty good sample of what's out there. And we pushed them enough to really feel like if somebody wanted to participate on them, they had the opportunity. And so we did the online surveys first, and then towards the back of September, we offered up parent information nights. Food and childcare was provided. One of those nights was kind of bifurcated with English only and Spanish only, and another one of those nights was intended to be directed for our Russian Old Believer community only. Just so that they had an opportunity to voice their questions and comments and concerns in what might be a comfortable and safe space. And then in October 6th, I presented the grant, the phase process, to the city council at their board meeting or at their council meeting in October. At that meeting, I continued to make it clear that we desire this to be transparent. I probably put out my phone extension and my email 24 times in any way possible to let people know. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you have concerns, direct them to me. I'll put on a pot of coffee. Let's sit down, let's talk things through, making things as transparent as possible. Disclosing that when we wrap up with phase 1, we will take all of the data and everything, and we're going to make it public on the website. So that people can see. We have to I have to go through it again and just make sure that I've scrubbed any sort of identifiable data and things of that nature, especially anything that we surveyed with staff or students. It was all anonymous, but I just want to double check before we put it up there, just because I think I want to honor that. But we'll get that up there. And then into October, again, solicitation for focus groups. We moved into November. We had information and another survey available at the Dia de los Muertos celebration. We pulled in another 45 or 50 surveys, paper-based for that particular one, knowing that there are some people within our Hispanic Latino community that may not resonate with doing an online survey. But if they had a paper-based survey that they might, and that's both Spanish and English. Same questions, very simple, 5 questions, single page. And then we also provided a lot of the same things at the health fair and bingo event on the 15th of November. Throughout this entire thing, Dr. Pat Ketchum, who works with the WESD in a very niche role in kind of their education analysis. She's got a background in public health. She's been fantastic. I can't sing her praises high enough to her help with this process. And then Tracy, our nurse, both of them together have been a terrific team. We've met multiple times every single month to make sure that we're on pace with phase 1. Everything's going the way that we should. Are we missing any data points? Are we not asking anybody for their input, et cetera, et cetera? So then we were able to then collect survey data. I did key informant interviews. So I personally interviewed between 8 to 10 different people, building principals, building office managers, those kind of people. The director of Enlace, which is one of the Woodburn community organizations that runs the Aguilas de Oro dance group for our middle school. It's got a strong connection to the Woodburn community and the migrant newcomer community. And we dug through the whole Youth Truth Survey data for the 2 rounds that we've done it, and looked for all the different key points about healthcare and health-based needs and mental health and all those kind of things. We looked at district nursing department data for the last couple of years of how frequently have we had students with concussions and how many, abrasions on the playground, and how often do children just request ice bags, and how often do they not actually need ice bags, but they just think it makes them feel better and just freely give them ice bags because it gets them back to class. We looked at county health data. So we were actually able to leverage our emerging really strong partnership with the Willamette Health Council, and they were able to give us data on Jervis community. So not necessarily internal district data, but the Jervis community data on substance abuse, diabetes, obesity. I mean, a lot of those kind of things where the community at large would go to the Salutes and the Salem clinics and those kind of things for both preventative and reactive care. And the data that's collected anonymously, but then fed back to the county so they could track those things. They gave us all that data as well. And then that generated this relatively large report that got submitted. And we kind of were left with a couple of options that are the kind of the primary options that come out of phase 1. It's either really recommending that you take your internal nursing staff and you just kind of amplify it because the community at large has a lot of options available to it. But you just really kind of want to amplify what you're doing in the district, or if you're from a community that doesn't really have much or anything at all of substance, then you look to take this school-based health center route, which is not, even though the name is kind of a misnomer because it's not exclusively for the school. You can open it after hours, you can open it on the weekend, you can massage logistics to address community members that don't even have kids in the district at all. And after looking at all of the data, everything that was available to us, the group recommended to move forward with phase 2 with school-based health center. Which I think that what I feel very confident is that the data reflects that we have a need to support more things within the district, being able to offer sports physicals on site, being able to do vision screenings. If we have the people that come and do the vision screenings and we've got some students that are absent and those students are part of the care team process because they're not performing well academically, we're trying to evaluate maybe they're candidates for special education. Well, I want to know, can they actually even see the paper or not? Right? Because I mean, if we don't have a good vision screening on them, it's hard for us to know, is it a cognitive disability?
Right.
They just need a pair of glasses. And then that actually makes a pretty big difference. So there's a variety of on-site things that would help our students, K through 12, pre-K through 12. But then the community data that we got back at the same time was a lot of the things that supported having an option for people if they wanted to use it. If they didn't, we truly did not, which kind of surprised me, to be honest, based off of how this has played out in a number of other districts. We truly did not get a lot of pushback from community members on kind of those hot button complicated topics that you're going to come in and do terrible things to my child without any sort of parent permission, and you're going to close the I mean, it's like there have been districts that have had school board meetings that have been shut down over conversations like this. And I think we were transparent about it. I think that we were open to anytime questions were asked, either on social media or email or whatever, very responsive, very respectful. Again, recognizing for those people that, especially the kind of the education route of one, which is challenging for some parents, but there is a particular age, child turns 15, like they can seek out some of their own health care without parental consent. And that's a hard pill to swallow for some families, for some parents. But that's the law, that's the Oregon law. So trying to navigate understanding of that, but also navigating that we will offer an opt-out process. And so if we do have families, if we do have that are genuinely concerned about certain things, we will take that route, just like we did the COVID tracers. That if we had some families that just object to them, we're not going to force this upon anybody. That's not the intent of it at all. And so that's just kind of what we ended up landing on. And then phase 2 really starts to go into, okay, now that we've gotten to our recommendation point, now it's really time to start getting to work and looking at potentially, most likely, our Sam Brown building as the landing pad for this. It's close to 6 through 12, so it's walkable. It's got discrete parking, so if there's anybody that wants to access it, they can do so without advertising to the community what they're doing. It's already set up, so really there's no capital funds that need to. I mean, that's one of the major limitations for most districts of starting up a school-based health center is the money to get a building, to get a modular, to do those kind of things. And we're really fortunate. We were poised where there's, I think, truthfully, there's very little that needs to be done to turn that building into a viable kind of school-based clinic center.
That's great.
Yeah. And so that one particular slide where it says phase 2, potential school-based health center services. This is kind of what we run down of routine physicals, anything from the diagnosis and treatment of acute things like flu, cold, rashes to chronic illnesses. You have dental decay, you've got allergies, you've got those kind of things. Vision and dental screenings, minor illnesses and injuries like playground cuts, pink eye, head lice, those kind of things, providing a lot of information, alcohol and drug counseling and prevention. Mental health, you read through some of the synthesis of the data that I provided. The key findings from student, parent, and staff. Not surprising, but still sobering, how that was at the top of the list for all three in terms of, if you can kind of clear out the COVID piece, and that's not to be disingenuous, but COVID's gonna kind of naturalize into what we do to an extent. It's just gonna be, but if you kind of distill then a little bit further, that this idea of mental health, feeling sad, not knowing what to do about that. Like that's gonna be tricky. And the fortunate thing is that through a school-based health center model, like you can address that. It's not just physical things. It's, you can leverage that resource to amplify the mental health, behavioral health components of your district as well. So that's going to be a key focus. And so that's just kind of our phase 2 next steps is holding some monthly meetings. I'm going to host additional community forums because I really want to remain transparent. I really want the community to say, you know, as a whole, like, yes, this is something that we continue to buy in on. Our voice continues to be heard. Or at the very least, we've had an opportunity to have our voice heard. So nobody can ever come back and say the district was making a rather grand decision here and was dismissive of opinions. That people always had an opportunity. Securing medical sponsored partnership, that's the biggie. That's where we have to reach out to Salud or Salem Clinic, those kind of, and essentially partner with them where they would hire a nurse practitioner and station them at Sam Brown as kind of a satellite campus of their facility. And then once we do that, there's some level of budgeting that happens within the district with Danny and Karen and I of just trying to figure out, and we're going to figure out what that actually looks like over the next couple of months as we do some site visits at some other school-based health centers of ilk districts and figure out what that number looks like. But the real cost is actually incurred between the medical sponsorship and OHA. They kind of take over and run the school-based health center from that perspective. We don't pay the nurse practitioner. I mean, it's $150,000 position. I mean, so we're very fortunate that we'd be able to OHA would help partner and fund that and go through that process. And I think really the cost that we are going to look at is nominal in terms of some supply things, and then just keeping that building lights on and keeping it warm. I think it's going to come down to that. And then that's really exciting. And then just the numbers there, $90,000 grant. We've spent about $28,000 so far. So we've still got about $60,000 to spend on that. Most of that's going to go towards extra duty time and money and effort to go travel to these different sites. And fortunately, I'm pretty sure I'm off the books for that. So it's going to go to other folks to pay for their time.
What other districts have something like that?
So the map is small and I can share it out so it's larger. But if you go to this one that's got here, the phase 2 recommendation, you look at that small map,
Oh, yeah.
you can actually see, and I can obviously share out the map in large, but that was just to give you a kind of a graphic of how many are actually out there. Every one of those lines that comes off of the state is a school-based health center.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's
Some
not
close.
there are some that are close, certainly. Yeah.
I can't see. So.
Yeah, so if I were to, I think I've got our county actually covered up.
Oh.
But there are several that are within commuting distance, within 30-45 minutes. A lot of them honestly have, especially in our area, I think the way that they've shaken out, Woodburn is part of the same cohort as we are. So they're actually, I've been working with their director of student services.
So they don't have one?
No, they do not.
Mont Angel, St. Paul?
I don't believe either of them have them with all their, both of those are. Both of those
Well,
are
they have
so
the
small.
hospital
You know, that's true.
and the
They have
other
hospital.
medical practices. They have urgent care.
And then Salem Kaiser is such its own
Yeah,
animal. They tend not to,
I was just thinking
Um,
this, North Marions and those types.
Yeah.
Them would have them.
no, I mean, we're, again, you can see that there's quite a few that are in the state, but if you're talking mid-Willamette Valley.
Yeah.
Like, again, I think Jervis is kind of, we're on the leading edge of like really kind of pushing what's
That's what I'm
a
saying.
small district
what we can do.
do.
Yeah.
To work with these kind of things. And so, but like, I've been working with the Woodburn director pretty frequently, so that as we play in the same sandbox with this kind of
Yeah.
process, like we're working together, we've got a really good partnership.
So they're doing it also, they're
Yeah.
kind of starting up, same
Yeah.
thing you guys, we're doing it.
But I think
And would that be available to say if you're from Mount Angel, you hear about this thing? They could come and use it, or is it just our community? Would it be kind of based on?
it's a good question. When somebody would, if it's after school hours,
Yeah,
if
that's
somebody
what I was
comes knocking.
Yeah.
Again, like there are services that you can receive where you do not have to show your identification.
So if somebody had a sore throat.
Yes, I'm just talking,
headache,
they're-
or was cut,
Yeah.
yeah, they
So-
can come in, like.
earache, kid has an earache, something
Tuesday
like
night,
that, so
6:30, the clinic's open, they could come in and get care.
that's what I
Yeah.
mean, what better PR would that?
Oh, it'd be great. And I, I know Erica Gordon, who's my equivalent over at Mount Angel, and we would work well together that if we had people come in and we were not asking for their names or any sort of identifiable data other than like, what community do you live in?
Right.
And if we started to see a group of Mount Angelans coming in, I could work with Erica, just say, let's, we're seeing a trend here. What kind of partnership do our two districts want to talk about? So that, we're working well together, knowing that we're serving community members from Mount Angel and,
Part of the community anyway, they're, all our kids play within, the different sports and a lot of families know each other, so.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The
No, that's great.
prescription piece could also be where, we have a lot of people that maybe don't have access to reliable or convenient transportation. And so with the nurse practitioner, those medications can be called in by that person and delivered to the clinic here. And people can just walk to get it.
That's
Instead of having
really
to
good.
Drive.
Oh, my God.
that'll be something to really explore that
Yeah.
we'll have a secure way to store prescription medication in that building. And so if you're a member of Jervis and the only transportation you have is walking right now.
Right.
You could visit our school-based health center, put in the nurse practitioner can put in the order for whatever, get delivered to us. When it's in, we give you a call, you can walk back there, or, we can find a way to deliver it to you. If it's
Yeah.
raining, I mean, like, we'll explore those kind of things, but I think that's some of the real beauty of what could be.
Yeah.
As this kind of rolls out is, really, I think, building a bridge with community members that address something that just does not exist right now.
Is it funny that as far as your key findings, lack of sleep was really high on both of them?
It was.
Parent and kid,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And that's, that could come down to a lot of education, of stress, of like, when your child is looking at a screen. I mean, all of the recent data says they should not look at a screen more than an hour up until their bedtime. So they should turn that screen off an hour before bed, because the blue light that's hitting their eyes creates cortisol release and all those kind of things. So you don't fall asleep very well. But at the same time, it's, tablets are babysitters.
Exactly.
I get it. I mean, and so, but I mean, sometimes those kids are up late.
Yep.
And they're up early and that's affecting. So that would be something we would really explore as, what can the district do to address something like that? It'll take some creativity, but we got some good people on the job.
No, sounds great. This is awesome.
This is fantastic. And Angie commented in the chat there, she's impressed and
The more we can help,
Excited
the
about
better it is.
I agree.
I love the whole transportation thing. There's so many residents here who don't actually have transportation and they actually go to the Dollar General to buy groceries and things like that. It'd be really nice to be able to.
I didn't know
Provide
that Mega
Mega
Foods,
Foods.
they have a van that'll pick up people and take them home. Did not see it. Saw it driving around yesterday when I was going to drop off. Okay. Take care of my chores.
Well,
So,
thank you for-
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. That's awesome.
okay, next on your agenda, we have Kristen Miles from OSBA here. And so I think we'll just probably go ahead and start with the evaluation piece and then we'll go into the scholarship piece, the work and create and we'll stay for that too. Okay, who's gonna help me? You're the scholarship.
Happy New Year. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Hope everything's been well.
I just got back from New Zealand.
Whoa. Very cool.
And I missed the ice storm. So sorry for the weather, Oregon.
Part of being here.
Huh.
That's cool. How long were you there?
10 days.
How long a flight is that?
It was 13 hours, an entire day on the way there. And spent 2 days of travel, really, on the way back.
For sure.
So, yeah, it was great, trip of a lifetime.
That sounds like it.
Yeah. Happy to see you all. Thanks for having me. Get everything pulled up. Let's see. Here we go. Minimize everything. So tonight, now, did everybody have a chance to look at the book ahead of time, the superintendent evaluation book? Not yet. Okay. So, no, okay. So let's take a few minutes and I see that Andrea's here with us. Is she participating?
Yeah, she's-
tonight? Okay, okay. Angie, if you've got the book in front of you too, let's take a few minutes. And what I would like everybody to do, because what we're gonna do tonight is decide, you're gonna do the targeted feedback survey again, like we did last year. What we're gonna do is take a few minutes to decide what standards you're gonna survey on. And
Did you let us know what the standards were from the previous?
Yes.
I,
When we did?
yeah, I shared those out. It was standard 1, 5, and 6. Thank you.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no, that's fine. So, so what we'll do is I would like you to look through the book and just the standards, you don't have to pick the whole book. And pick your top 3
Okay.
as individuals. And, so I'll give you a few minutes to do that. When you've picked your top 3, then what we really do is just talk about that, come to consensus about the top 3 that we will, survey, and then talk about who you're gonna survey. I'll give you a few minutes and I'll check in on you in a few minutes.
And just for Angie online as a reminder to the other board members that are here, but that may have not been here at the December meeting, you had that your conversation had been going back to the same standards. That's kind of what you had.
So
had
was there
talked
some
about.
question about,
Yeah, they had to, because.
About
they
doing
just-
that?
Yeah, just,
for kind of continuity of
Yes.
data?
yeah.
We want to build
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
perfect. Well, good job. I missed that in December.
That was Maria's suggestion and a very good one it was.
Yeah.
so if that is I don't know if you want to take a minute to just look over everything, or if you want to just make that decision.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I'm good with
Because you
that.
certainly
I'm good with that.
can.
Yeah, because I like the idea of building on.
On that continuity.
Yeah.
where we
Right.
Have. a
Then you've got
basis.
the exact same thing to look at,
Correct.
to compare to.
Mhm.
Okay, let me just write it. It was 1, 5, and 6. All right. This will go quickly. So you do not have to look at everything. 1, 5, and 6. So as far as then who to survey, was there discussion about surveying? I don't remember, I don't have it in front of me, who we surveyed last time.
I thought that.
Was there?
And community members, right?
That would be the.
That would be.
Right, I know we did staff and community. I don't remember how we selected last time.
So what we did last time is that, well, I mean, staff,
Was it a random was
It
it
was a
like
random
direct
sampling.
reports and then a random
yes,
sampling?
And then for community members, I provided a list of all of those people that I had worked with. either
Yes.
Directly or indirectly,
Uh-huh,
so that we would avoid those that
that had no knowledge.
had no knowledge. of
Yes,
anything.
right, and that's generally what we recommend. So I wonder, do you want to do the same thing?
It's up to the board. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe maybe I could create a list and then I could share it with them, and at the January meeting, the
Yeah.
regular meeting, I can say, this is the list I'm gonna provide to.
Let me see what our timeline is. Because I know we've got a little bit of a timeline thing. I've got some notes in here. Okay, so we need to send out the data approximately 2 or 3 weeks to pull it. So I need to compile, so if we want the full evaluation done by March 1, then, well, let's see, TFS is out for data collection approximately 2 or 3 weeks before I pull it. So we need to get the survey out mid-January to early February.
So we could do that. We could,
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
gonna look at my the calendar here, so.
And early to
Okay.
mid-February, I need depending on how long we want to leave it out, I'll need the results to compile it. Mid to late February, you'll need to meet to compile the evaluation. If we want the full evaluation done by March 1, this is the meeting you'll provide.
so February, we'd have to have the all done, right? Our February meeting.
For the
So our,
TFS.
our January meeting is January 19th. I mean, is it acceptable for the board members to just provide names? Like if they want to email names?
What we usually do is the board doesn't necessarily, so what the boards usually do is they don't necessarily provide the people.
Mhm.
You usually pick like the groups, like,
Like the strategic plan group from the community,
Yes.
the vision group,
Right,
the
exactly.
equity team, the bond people,
Mhm.
the.
Yeah, like you would give feedback on like, yes, Dandy, we want you to provide like your direct reports. Here are the groups that we want you to provide, Kristen, go forth and do that. Which is certainly something that we could decide today. And then I could get a start on creating that survey. And that could be either based on last year or some thinking about, what would you want to do this year? I always recommend direct reports as far as staff. If then you wanted to do sort of like a cross section of staff that's, representative, or folks that, I always recommend people who have knowledge of the superintendent's work, which is what we did last year, not people who have no knowledge of the superintendent's work, because they'll be like, I don't know, and you'll get just big bars of, I don't know.
I don't know.
Right? So, I think, if you want to do some thinking about like, what is the big work this year and who is working most closely with Dandy? There is usually a lot of input from the superintendent about like, here's who I'm working with. Sure. What do you think about that? So I don't know if that's a discussion you want
I
to
could
have.
go through with all of the committees that we had or the different kinds of meetings that we had and provide names, because we took attendance on all of those or minutes. And I could just forward all of that to
Yeah.
Kristen.
That
Perfect.
is the,
How many typically? As many as we can, or is it?
So, no.
You have to make a decision on that, or is that something we leave to you guys?
Can talk about, like, what does that look like? I would say, because there is, so most of it is quantitative data, right? Most of it is on a Likert scale, which is easy. And we want to get enough to get, good number, but there are 2 sections at the end that are like, what do you think is going well? What would you like to see improve?
Right.
That's the hard part for me, is coding and all of that. We don't want to have like hundreds, because then that's hours and hours.
Correct.
So, I usually say, please no more than 50 on the community side and on the staff side.
Because on the staff side, at one time, we did every third. I remember.
Was that it?
One
Is that
time we
what we
did
did
that. I
last
don't know if
year?
it was last year, but on one of them that I did, I
Okay.
do remember us that we just left it to every third person
Okay.
is chose off the list. But I don't remember what we did last year. to tell you the truth. So,
I think the closer we can get to who has knowledge of the superintendent's work, the better data you get out of that survey.
I feel like we've had a lot of committees this last year that represented a variety of staff members. And so if I just pulled the
The,
people from those committees, I think you're gonna
we're gonna get
get like every third person.
a good
Because
cross section.
it wasn't the same people, in the same committees all the time. It was, different.
so will you be asking kind of the same questions?
Yes.
That you did the previous year?
Yep, you should get very, the only things that we changed this year were for clarification. So some of the feedback that we got, so it's exact same standards, and they are the same questions with the exception of some clarification. So a couple pieces of feedback that we got in this last year were, can you provide a better definition of what you mean by like, school improvement plan or something like that? Or district improvement plan, I think is how we had it worded, or, underserved communities, things like that, that may mean different things, different places. And so what we tried to do is provide more information about what we are looking for, so that when folks answer the question, they don't default to, I don't know.
Okay.
'Cause that was some of the feedback we got, which was, we're not sure what you like. We don't know that everybody will have a common understanding of what this means. And we were like, good point. So, so we tried to, use a little bit more language, particularly in the community surveys part, which we try not to have as much edge-speak in that, as we do in the staff ones. So, but the questions themselves will be, for the most part, the same. So you should have very, very comparable data as to last year.
So when do you need me to get that to you?
Could you get it to me early next week? Would that work? Okay. And then what we did last year was what we did was 2 tabs on an Excel spreadsheet. One was staff, one was community, and I don't even need names. I just need email addresses.
Sandra, did you put that together for her last year? Can I just give you the names and then you put it into Excel?
I think I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just sent me an
Yeah,
Excel
I did.
spreadsheet.
I think I
Excel
did.
spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. And
Past that.
the other thing, Sandra, is
Yeah.
that we have the survey translated already into Spanish.
Yeah.
We don't have any other translations. If somebody needs the Spanish version, if you could put like an S next to their email address, then I will send them the Spanish version.
Okay.
If there are folks that need other languages, then I have to give that to you to have that translated.
Okay.
So, so if you do have community folks that need like Russian or another language, then if you note that or something, then I'll have to have the district translate that, but we have a Spanish one on standby, so. So let me know, but yeah, if you can note, any that pop up needing Spanish, we can have that sent, so. So that one we've got, okay. So does that sound decided
Decided.
by the board? Angie, you okay with all of that too? Want to make sure that you have a voice in this as well.
Hi, yes, absolutely. Sorry. Can you hear me?
No, thank you for being there. Yes. So,
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I'm
I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm clear on for the board planning, for the February regular meeting. Do we need then to have time in executive session, or do you want me to ask the board to call a work session?
Let me see. There's my calendar. Goodbye. Okay. What am I holding? Which day is the February meeting?
The 16th.
16th, right, I'm holding that for you. So that would be, let me look at my notes for today. So let's see, if we get, that is more than a month out. So I see early to mid-February, I present it to the board. So I'll get the survey out, I'll have it compiled and get it back. We would need an executive session for me to present that to the board sometime on that meeting. It could be before or beginning.
You guys want me to check the athletic schedule to see that you'll be getting close to like playoff time at that point in time? Yeah, board members with kids on this. Yes. So maybe I'll do some research about what we've got going on there. And then are there dates that you're, like, if we had to call another meeting, are there dates that you're not available at all?
Let me look. Probably schedule
I'm
is
sure.
getting full. I mean, yes, there are. Let's see. What I can give you is like around that time is what we're looking for.
Yeah,
Okay. I can give you available dates.
okay.
So I'm available on the evening of the 15th. that would be it for that week.
Okay.
I am, what is that? What is that?
So you're not even available the night that we have our regular board meeting?
Oh, yeah, I am. on the
Okay, on the
16th.
16th.
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
holding that for you.
Sorry,
So
got it,
16th
got it.
I'm
Okay,
available,
sorry.
and the 15th I'm available
Got it.
if the 16th
Okay.
doesn't work. For whatever reason.
Okay,
So, yeah, I'm holding the 16th.
got it.
I am available on the 8th. And that is all, yeah, and that is all around that time.
Okay,
So that would be a work session. if we could have
yeah, so I'll
Possibly. Where she's gonna.
I'll dig around tomorrow morning and then I'll text you guys and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
And I'll email you.
In the meantime, I've got the 16th and I'll
Yeah.
just keep that.
Okay.
Okay, right.
No, yeah, the only thing for that night that I know you already have on your agenda is, you will have to, that will be the night that if you decide you're going for the bond, that will be the night that you adopt the language for that.
Okay.
So
Okay,
that's the only thing you have to keep for that night. Well, actually, that's not true. That's not the only thing. Also, the contract renewal. That's usually a consent item for teachers.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay. I'll work on it.
But that doesn't have that much.
That does-
And no, it wasn't either. so.
okay. So that's it for that piece. That was easy. Okay, so then for the project piece, is there data you're gonna look at tonight?
Yeah, I'm
ELL?
trying to be very tech savvy here as usual. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, let me share the screen now. There. Creighton, if you wanna come up here with me, you can sit right next to me. Lucky you. And so, let's see here. So what I wanted to just kind of recap where we've been for all of you as well as for Kristen. So you'll remember that part of your scholarship work is looking at the problem of practice with our ELD students and trying to figure out how do we get them over the bar in terms of passing ALPA 21 so that they have more opportunities available for them. And then what can you as a board do to make that happen, both from a budgetary perspective, policies, engaging the community. And so as a review, what you've done so far is you heard the presentation from Raul Gomez and Dr. Helms about what happens historically with our kids who take the ALPA 21 assessment, and at what point, if they don't pass, that they are forever locked into an ELD program. You heard that in August. And then I provided you with some articles in November that talked about the problem of practice, instructional practices, and what we can do to help our kids achieve at the levels that they need. And we discussed how our equity lens with your resolution and what the equity team is doing to pose those questions that would maybe help our students have more access to programming that would allow them to achieve. So then the next piece that we did, Dr. Helms, he's in charge of that ELD program. So he did a staff survey, and I'm going to let him share what his results were. But the idea is that since August, we've really been talking to teachers about instructional practices and the importance of being mindful about when you design instruction and you deliver instruction, that if you do it with that ELD focus, it's good for SPED kids, it's good for TAG kids, because you're doing differentiation. And so we've had our TOSA, Bonnie Atwood, providing different instructional strategies to try, and also ELD strategies. And so Dr. Helms surveyed the staff to see how's it going. And Creighton, if you want to just kind of talk through
Sure.
what we're finding, that would be great.
Yeah, so I put together just a quick survey, released it right after they came out of Thanksgiving break and closed it right before they went into winter break. Mostly asking our instructional staff, not just licensed, but also the classified staff that are in front of students K through 12 in an instructional capacity. to start just gathering some feedback in terms of how the year has gone so far. Question one I've been releasing quarterly newsletters. So that was one of my goals is to each quarter to release an ELD newsletter with information and advice and hints and tricks and et cetera, et cetera. And in those two newsletters, I've provided several actionable suggestions that would support language development. You know, of those and you can see the list that in the smaller off box, the types of strategies that are there, requiring full sentence answers is a good example. So, you know, how does anybody feel about this instead of just saying yes? It's like, yes, I feel great about this, like actually compelling them to put together words. Increasing the frequency in which they're partnered together and doing group work, so really eliminating that sage on the stage. Increasing the frequency of open-ended questions, so you're starting to compel critical thinking. So there's a number of different strategies that we've really just put out there that says it doesn't matter if you're a kindergarten teacher or if you're an 11th grade science teacher, like you can use these strategies in a grade appropriate way. Of those, how have we tried to use them? Which ones have you tried? And you can start to kind of see where it's falling into. You know, most of the teachers, the instructional staff are saying, yeah, like increasing students working together, requiring full sentence answers, increasing the use of sentence frames and those kind of things, which would be, you know, taking a sentence and instead of just giving them the entire sentence to work in, it's kind of a fill in the blanks sort of thing. And so they can, you know, the dog blanks and then the person blanks. So you really have to kind of use the vocabulary, you know, in an appropriate way to put together good syntax. And so you can kind of see where that is. The answer below best describes me. 37%. I'm doing the best to use as many of these strategies as I possibly can. And then 53.8%, like I'm doing my best to use some of them. And so honestly, I mean, you're looking at close to 9 out of 10 of our instructional staff are saying, yes, you're giving me ideas and I'm not dismissive of this. Like I'm actively paying attention to that. I'm actively trying. I would say whether we're talking objectively of just this year or historically across years, like that is a very promising return from staff when it comes to the use of ELD strategies. This is anonymous, so they could have, I mean, this could have been, you know, as true as they wanted it to be and said, you know, in the green, like I have not tried to do any of this, like go pack sand. Like this isn't my thing, but in an anonymous fashion, 9 out of 10 of our teachers are saying, yeah, we're actually invested in this. If I could get more training and support in the following areas, it would be. And so then they start to give me some ideas of where they would like some, so like technological supports, you know, how are we, you know, and so this is the Pocket Talk, which these just recently came in. These are going out to our newcomers. And so this one's currently set up for Spanish. So all of our newcomers will have these assigned to them. This works, and they never do it when you're on stage, you know. Do you understand the instructions?
¿Entiendes las instrucciones?
And then I can very quickly switch over. Sí, yo comprendo. And yes, I hit the mute button, but it says, yes, I understand. So this is Spanish, this is Ukrainian, this is Russian. There's over 80 different languages that are supported by this device. And so this is every one of all 15 of our primary newcomers are all going to have one of these. We've got a number of other technological supports that are going out really soon that will help our newcomers, a lot of our ELD students, like overcome that initial language barrier so they can engage in class. And I think that's one of the biggest fears is if we wait until they can understand and use English well enough to interact in a monolingual English environment, we've already lost 2 to 4 years because it takes that long. So we're building these things in place so they can be active in the class right off the bat. And then we start building it in. And so technological supports as they want training. You know, I want to have EL Achieve training, which is our EL curriculum, which is being used out. Ukrainian support, newcomer support, ideas on immediate implementation of effective group strategies. And so again, very positive return on the survey because they're thinking about what do I need to improve instruction through an ELD lens? And then open-ended feedback, again, very, very positive. And there were some that were not as quote unquote positive, but I'll take it. Like, I mean, I will take any feedback that I can get, but the majority of it is like, I appreciate everything that's being implemented for the ELs, high motivated group of ELs in my 6th period class. I'm proud of them for working hard. Not very familiar with the ELD curriculum, but I teach through the provided slides. So especially at the elementary level, when we have our ELD block, Raul will take some of them, Mercedes will take some of them, but then the teacher will, a homeroom teacher will have the really high ELs and non-ELs, but they actually have the same curriculum material at a higher level instructional rigor, and they're using those slides. And I can say after 5 years at the elementary school, every one of those teachers was super passionate about ELD, but they said, we don't have materials. And you might think that, oh, they're a licensed teacher, they know how to teach ELD. It's far more nuanced than that. I mean, it really is there. So having access to materials and things like that. And so it's really positive. And, there was some,
Yeah, that second little bullet there, that was. At least
Teachers are burning
they
out.
have,
Yeah.
it was something at least they were able to say.
Yeah, no, and that's great because that's, this is being shared out with the building principals for all of us to figure
And
out.
I'm sure there's a fair amount of them that feel that way. So,
Yeah.
well, not a fair amount, but I think there's enough that feel like
Well, there's been a lot. I mean,
there's
like,
a lot.
Yeah.
the teachers are taking on a lot, so yeah.
Uh,
By the way, I want one of those. Those are
It,
so
we'll tell you how, just very quick, it's beyond just the voice piece. There's a camera embedded in this. And so if you give the child a worksheet, they take this and they take a picture of the worksheet and it's in English. You give it a second to think. It can actually take and overlay Spanish or Ukrainian or Russian right on the screen.
That is so cool.
That is
So-
awesome.
If a teacher has a worksheet or PowerPoint slides, they can print out. And they just give those to the student. They can actually use this device and go through the worksheet and in their native language, now actually see what's being asked of them. And then the teacher can come up and say, do you need help? Or can I do this? And it translates it immediately into their language. They come back, they say, I don't understand this piece in their language. It comes out in English. And now once we get into the rhythm of this, it's like, oh my, now we've taken the 20-some kids in our district that do not speak English,
To be able to communicate.
and we've leveled it to a degree where they can get to work.
Yeah. And how many of those do we have?
We bought 15 of them right now as just kind of a trial version to just see what they would look like
Yeah,
in the hands of,
Are they?
they're about $250, but the reason they're a little expensive is because the 80 languages that are used in this are not, this isn't a hardware device where it's all stored in this. This actually comes with a 2-year wireless plan. So this is connected to our wireless network. So the languages are constantly being updated and evolved and added and those kind of things. And so, yeah, and so, if it tries to translate something and it just simply can't, it's sending that back, and it's, the AI components of it are working through it to improve the process. And so the 250 is the device plus 2-year access plan to do all that. And then it's relatively nominal for every year after that. So it's, knowing that we're always going to have newcomers, we thought it was a good use of some funds to be able to say, at least, we've got 15 now, really is valuable. Like, we'll add a couple more devices next
It's
year.
relatively new company, or has it been doing
It's-
this for a bit?
You know what? It's a good question. I don't know. I know that there are not very many districts in the state of Oregon that are using
But
it.
yeah.
It's very, it's another little, what's Jervis doing that's,
different.
yeah.
I love the accent too on the Spanish. That was cute, but
Wow.
that's so awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
you know, again, and I'm not gonna take up more time, but like myself and the ELD teachers, we had an onboarding presentation training with a company called Spiffio, spf.io today. And that is the company where our newcomers and some of our ELD students will take their Chromebooks and they'll open them up during class and the teacher wears a little microphone. And as the teacher is teaching whole group, it actually real-time translates into their language right on their Chromebook screen, what's being said. And so the newcomer in real time, like, you know, and we trained today on it. I mean, it's almost instantaneous.
Oh.
So science teacher is up there wearing a little lapel microphone. Student from the Ukraine is sitting there and doesn't understand too many words in English. It's real time translating it into Ukrainian on their screen so they can hear and see what is being said. If they want to plug in headphones, they can actually hear the translation. It will transcribe it and then interpret it in a language. And then when it moves from whole group instruction to small group work or individual work, then the child takes out their pocket talk. And the teacher says, do you understand what's going on? Yes, I do, et cetera, et cetera. The company that Spiffio is actually, we've worked with them for a couple of months now to get this, and there's no district in the state of Oregon that's doing this at all.
It's expensive.
It's not, I mean, it's not entirely cheap, but they're working with us on price points, but they're actually going to nominate us for a pretty, I was very surprised that there's a pretty prestigious type award for schools that are really exploring how to reduce language barriers. Their software is typically used at like the United Nations level for interpretation of multiple languages all going on at the same time. They've had very few districts, if any, that have said, we actually want to use this for our refugee students or migrant students. And so I've been working with the owner of this company. He's based out of China. So we actually use some interpretation to go back and forth with each other. But we've been working on stuff, and he told me today that they're really excited. They're kind of putting together a proposal for a really neat recognition as a leading district on how to do these kind of things. So
As number one district should.
that was one destination.
So, so the next steps, Creighton and I were talking this morning about maybe what needs to happen next is that we've done now the staff engagement. And so I've asked Creighton to look at working with Bonnie and Raul. And I want to do some student engagement now, kids that are in the ELD program, and I want to time it so it's just before they go into their ALPA 21 testing. So, and we're also going to take the data we get from the Youth Truth Survey and ask them questions that interconnect their perceptions that they talked about on Youth Truth in general, because we don't know exactly which student said what, but then also ask them questions about how does that relate to you being an ELD kid or in the ELD program? How could it be better? What do you think is a barrier? When you said this in Youth Truth, how does it connect to ELD? Why? And so in January and February, Creighton and a group of us will put those questions together and survey our kids to see what they say specifically. And then once we get that feedback, and we'll share that with you at the April meeting, what kids had to say. And then in April, we'll engage their parents and let them know, hey, this is what we've been doing with staff. These are the resources we've been providing to your students. This is what your kids said. What do you think?
These go home. Or
No,
do
so I think, I mean, right now, I'm actually, when I was back there right now, I was putting together the checkout contract for them. I'm trying to play with the idea of what it would look like for them to check it out from the office in the morning and then check it back in the afternoon, where the office can make sure it's charged every single day. Because I'm fearful that if they go home, these things are very small.
No, no.
They're gonna be left at home. They're not gonna show up charged.
We'll get a washing
My,
machine.
yeah.
Yeah,
My
being left in a
that
pocket,
is obviously if their kids are here, and they're not speaking.
right,
That means that it's always that language is being spoken in that house. And so
yeah.
that it's just another thing for the community for us to branch out to the community to say, hey, these are the type of things that we could offer and
Sure.
help you with, and maybe, English classes and things like that.
And that's also something where I can work with Tracy, like we have hotspots that are available that families can check out and things like that, that through some of her resources, we may be able to purchase some Pocket Talks that can go home for the adults, so they can go back and forth and
Because that's,
communicate.
you know, that where we did offer English classes there for the longest time and things, and we had those grants.
Mhm.
That was a great thing to have those little microphone things that you're talking about where that person's up there.
Yeah,
Anyway, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Very good.
So,
very
so in
good.
April and May, we'll engage parents and get their feedback, and then we're gonna come back with all of this information, and that'll be right around your budget time. And so then we can, you know, look at what kind of budgeting priorities that we could create, as well as what additional policies do we maybe need to tweak or create implementation for our equity lens. And so that ideally, it would be when in June, you really outline exactly what your expectations are moving forward for the next year, which also ties in with our strategic plan review. And then when teachers roll back in August or staff rolls back in August, then we'll have set the stage for what the expectations for year two.
I just love this project. I think it's so
I do
awesome.
too. And, you know, it's a lot more, hitting a lot more students than I thought.
Yeah,
Until we got that presentation and things, that was,
that was eye-opening.
it was eye-opening. And then with the Ukrainians that I didn't even know that we were getting.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Great job.
yeah,
Yes,
we're excited.
perfect.
Fun, kind of fun.
Yeah,
You know, like
thinking
you're
outside the
starting to
box.
do something and you're like, wow, like,
It's,
and then hopefully it will work. Hopefully you'll.
We'll see how it can. I mean, it's just to make the
Yeah.
kids feel more at ease coming in.
Yeah.
Their anxiety is already high coming, because they don't know how to talk to us, they don't know how to do anything other than,
Yeah.
if we had a translator to be able to help them through this, and so now, technology, it's great when it works,
and I know families talk to each other and word of mouth
Oh,
travels.
100%.
And I absolutely think that we're not far away from, you know, and it's a good quote unquote problem to have, but like, I don't think we're that far away from being able to posture ourselves to say, if you're a newcomer, if you're a migrant family, like, really consider us. Like, we're small, but like, we care, like, we are investing in your child's language development from the first day they walk into this.
Let's just say we're small but mighty.
Yeah,
That was-
so,
I think it, for me, it's just really close to my heart, just because when we came here, there was just no resources like that for us. And so that's why it's just so exciting for me. Thanks. Fabulous. Good job.
Okay. All right.
So Krista, did you need anything else for us at this point?
Nope.
Does OSBA need any write-up on this at this? point,
No, I
or-
think that's good. And the plan that you just laid out about like,
Yeah.
this is what we're gonna do when, and this is what we're gonna do when, and the fact that, you know, like, we're still continuing to like, and we're gonna come back to a budget time. I mean, this all fits within the timeline that we talked about. And so I think just, you know, as I show up and you continue to like gather information, and then by the end of this, there'll be like a budget ask and,
Yeah.
and you know, that kind of plan that all fits within that. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay. Okay.
Well, that's all I had scheduled for Kristen, and do you need anything else from her at this point?
Thank you very much.
Thanks for.
Great. And we'll continue to do the.
Yep, I'll get,
Soupy Val piece.
yeah, I'll
and
get information to you.
I'll ride with you as you do this, the ELL piece, and wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Very good.
Good to see you.
Okay, so next we have Rebecca.
This is a tough act to follow.
Technology.
Star Trek.
It's a nice job at the convention too.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. That was fun. It was nice to be in person. What did you see?
We, for Maria and I on the classes,
Yeah, forget.
did
We're back to
like,
you.
I
It was
know
a
we saw,
whirlwind.
yeah, I know, it was crazy. We did like a small school group thing. We did, the policy,
Oh, okay. Okay.
class.
Right.
Like 101 or.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was a.
Yes, we kept busy.
Yes. All right, bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye,
Yeah,
have a
bye,
good
Kristen.
evening.
So while Rebecca's passing some things out, I just wanted to refer everybody back to the website.
Yeah.
And you'll see under the Jervis bond measure, we have Jervis bond measure 2.0. That's where we're at right now. And so let me go back to the Zoom meeting and share the screen so people can see that who are online. And so the presentation we met Monday, November 28th. Is that? And so what you've got here is the PowerPoint presentation. And so I'll pull that up here in a minute. And then you've also got the meeting minutes and the different scenarios that the groups came up with. And then this survey information is just that same survey you saw back in the fall where we
Oh, yes.
that we
Yeah.
shared out with when the
Right.
city council came through. So, and Rebecca, I don't know if you want me to, if there's key things you
Sure.
want to highlight or. Oh,
Yeah, I think, the meeting went really well, and we had newcomers to the meeting for the first half hour. So the first part of that presentation is just getting them up to speed, all the work that was done. And then the last half of the meeting was spent really going through those project lists, which you're all probably familiar with. And breaking into groups. They broke into 4 groups and we mixed the groups up. And Danny made sure that some of the newcomers they weren't all in one group. Because they were sitting together since they had an earlier meeting time. And so we just walked through, every line item. We asked them, gave them opportunities to ask questions like how were things estimated? What is cost escalation looking like right now for construction? What is the process in its entirety? That's probably something you all are familiar with. Starting with all the fact finding that you've already done that the TAP grants paid for, and then moving all the way through bond planning. And each of the groups broke up and they started talking amongst themselves and each other about what they thought were the best solutions for each of those schools, each school in the district. And we just recorded their feedback and compiled it into one master list, which is what we have today, which is what I just passed out for you. And what we would like you all to have an opportunity to do now is essentially what they were doing, which is just let us know what you think as far as each item on the list goes. So I passed out 2 colors of voting dots, and there's lots of extras here if you need more. And I am going to put these up on the wall, nice and large. You can see. So you can see for each school, this is the elementary. So if there's an item on this list that you think that really just doesn't need to be in the bond, let's move it to the include if more funds become available column. And so you can see the ones that are X that have definitely included bond. But if there's a change you'd like to make, like let's add back in something or let's take something out and only include it if we have more funds, that's what the stickers are for. So if you want to add something in, it's not currently in the, definitely include the one, use your blue sticker. And if there's something you want to take out and save for later, it's a project you think should be, saved for later or paid from some other means, then put a red sticker next to it. So I'm going to put these up on the wall, but you guys have your small versions so you can start thinking about how you want to.
So basically, when they went through, when the groups went through and we tried to synthesize all 4 groups' information, they came up with $27.8 million worth of project. And you'll recall that the last one was 35 million, but we had the $4 million Austin grant. So this time, if you're going with the 27.8, there's the $4 million Austin grant. So you're asking for 23.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
So some of the big.
Yeah, Angie, you know what? I will, Angie, do you have time to stop by tomorrow and pick up a hard copy of what we've got tonight? Or I could send it home with one of the kids. Okay, so we'll get you a hard copy and then you could just email me your feedback on that.
Okay, that'll work.
Here,
I will
too.
actually,
Okay.
I'll pick it up when I drop off my son for school.
Okay,
Do you want me to move the table, Rebecca? That way you have. room to-
Thank you.
Yeah, room for.
You're welcome, Angie.
I could leave the dials here.
Yeah, let's leave it up.
And then you could just take a picture.
Yeah, and I can
Yeah,
get it
so-
to, because your pre-bond committee reconvenes next Monday night. And so the idea is that once you kind of give us direction about what your thoughts are or what questions you all have, then we'll take it back to the committee and do whatever additional work needs to be done. And then if there's more research that we need to figure out, what that looks like, then the last committee meeting is the end of January. We just left it as a placeholder, not a definite meeting. But then the idea is that in February, like, I'm giving you the information and you're deciding at the February meeting if this is what you're going for, because you have to file by February 25th.
So one of the big changes that is not inherently obvious, but looking at it was, I think it was group number 2 came up with the concept for the middle school, a change for the middle school to reduce the size of that new addition by keeping the 8th grade classroom block, those 4 classrooms that are for 8th grade, and closing that, make it a conditioned interior space that breezeway through the middle, make sure that's enclosed so there's no more water in that area, and connecting it to a new addition that is just one building. So before we had 2 buildings, several classrooms in one building, and then the second building had the multi-purpose commons, stage, music, and a few other things. And now this plan reflects group 2's concept idea, which we have a sketch of if you want to see the size difference, which is to leave that 8th grade building in place and then just to build one building. So it'd be 4 fewer classrooms. So it saves you some square footage of building.
So you'd still have the same classrooms, but you're gonna use the 4 that it is in the old modular right now. And so maybe
Is it gonna be bigger?
the new addition
Right.
would be the bigger classrooms attached to the 4 older ones of the 8th grade. And then the current existing office 6th, 7th grade wing, we would remodel those rooms to still make them bigger, like we talked about in the first plan.
To make the class.
Yes, uh-huh.
But the 8th grade rooms are gonna stay the same size.
Yes, those were not.
They're the bigger
They're
ones?
not undersized.
So they're the
right.
bigger ones that we had, so.
Right.
okay.
Yeah, it was only in the long,
Is the- is-
the long building where the main office is. Those were the ones that were small.
Okay, so those,
Yeah.
those ones that are, they're the size that should be. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
So you said you had a sketch though.
I do.
And we would
I put the
connect
visual
it
first.
so that kids could get to a bathroom close. The other piece of that is that if that's the direction you decide to go, then let's say in 6 years, when you can go for another bond because you can get another grant. So maybe you decide, okay, well, we can only get this much done with this first grant, $4 million in our bond. We're still in 6 years going to go for the other $8 million because we still need $35 million worth of work.
Sure.
And so then now you've got another 4 coming from the state. And so maybe at that point, then you finish those rooms there.
Okay.
So there's options.
Here's the sketch of the newer plan. I only printed off one of the old plan,
No, you're fine.
thinking that maybe you're already familiar with that one. As you can
With the new
see, so
plan
this
that
new
they're, oh,
concept-
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, quick question. So with the new
Go ahead,
plan,
Angie.
will it still, with the new plan, will it still have all the extensions? Will, like for the safety where it'll enclose all the buildings off for like the safety of the children? From the outside world?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
that-
similar to the previous plan. We will still have, a fully fenced campus, which is a lot like what we saw at the North Saniam, Saniam Canyon tours. So they had separate buildings, but it was all fully fenced and they had this like enclosed interior courtyard, so it all felt very safe. So
Okay.
that would still be part of the plan. Still gonna
so
have
the new
multiple buildings.
proposition wouldn't affect that
Covered.
portion of it. Okay,
Yes, it would all just connect to that one building. And the sketch in the, that I just passed out, sorry, Angie.
No, that's
um,
okay. I'll look at
uh,
it tomorrow.
That's a representation of size and the number of things. So for instance, there's just a really kind of a big rectangle that says admin offices. That would include the restroom block, the principal's office, the reception, the health nurse's office, all of those things are included in that rectangle. So you can just see how big the footprint would need to be. Things obviously could still move around. You could have multi-purpose commons facing south, so kids could spill out onto that nice little green space after lunch instead of facing north, for instance. So none of this obviously is set in stone.
And Rebecca, this concept or this pricing is based on stick built.
All of the pricing is based on
Not
traditional
modular.
stick-built construction. So it would be a
Yes.
traditional,
Modular has gone up.
modular has gone way up. We did have a representative from Triplet Wellman contractors there. Steve Duke is one of the owners at Triplet we're working with right down the road. And they've been pricing out options for modular versus stick-built in some nearby districts, and it's not shaken out so great for modular. I think, the reason, from his perspective, the reason is that the demand on modular has just gone up so much that
But the
they-
pricing just went up.
yeah, the pricing went up, and that lumber is now going down.
Yeah.
Which is a bonus. So, and then not a lot of districts have passed bonds very recently. So contractors are looking for work now, which wasn't the case 3 years ago, certainly. So it's looking better and better for traditional construction, and for something the size of a multi-purpose room and a kitchen and a stage, especially those areas we always had priced out for traditional construction. It was really just classrooms
The classrooms.
that we were thinking as modular, because they're
The office
competitive.
area, kind of like what they did at,
The office area.
yeah, because that was at the Sandy. How
Yes,
they did that.
yep, they did those main offices.
And just the outdoor learning and gathering spaces for students, where would that be?
Oh, that could be for the middle school.
Mhm.
That hasn't, it's not in the design, but that southern facing courtyard down there, I think would be a primo location for it.
My only thought is that, because we're looking to the exterior build refresh,
Yes.
so it would, is it that would, everything would look the same, the new
Exactly.
building and old building?
Yeah, so the old buildings, everything would get a refresh paint color.
But
If you need to reseal your windows, all that could happen.
But the old building would be basically where, what it is now, and then the 8th grade area.
Plus that, yeah, so everything that's there right now. So we wouldn't be doing any demolition. We would just be building that new
So in
footprint.
theory, you could just put in the footprint and then refresh later.
You could, absolutely, you could.
Because it would add, it costs the same for having that exterior refresh or give them the outdoor learning gathering.
Yeah.
space. And I would think that the kids would much more appreciate that than having
Space they
to
could use.
think the building looked prettier,
So,
other than the community would think they would be
yeah.
on that part there.
I have some concerns, and I just want to put this out there, that I think that whatever we do, it has to be dialed.
I
It
understand.
has to. They have to look at it and they have to go, I see a continuity here. I see it's not just a hodgepodge. And either one of those are
They're-
inexpensive enough. Even though
Right.
it's not really inexpensive, you could use your ice cream money to pay for one of those. Your Frontier charter, right? And so.
That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
think the refresh, because ultimately we want to make it the best for the kids, not. I know, I understand perception is something that's important and things there, but I think the kids are a heck of a lot more take advantage of an outdoor area for them to gather than they would the prettiness of the school and things. And I think we have prettiness on that new building that's going to be facing the road. All they're seeing on the old building is just that one. And that really, you got to drive onto the campus to see
Right, and
what-
I don't want you guys to get stuck in all the details.
No,
of
I
that,
understand, right.
Because I think when you word the bond language, it needs to be so broad that if we sell and make a lot of money on the
Yes.
bond, that you can afford to pay for everything using bond dollars and keep your ice cream money separate.
Right.
So it would need to be things like, you could say, if bond dollars allow, finish, refresh, construct outdoor space. So, because if we don't list it in the bond, you can't do it.
Yeah, and that's the.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
everything that you possibly can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every,
And then you go there.
Right.
But you don't want to be so specific to
That-
say,
yeah. What I really want to avoid is
200
not
square
talking
foot.
anything about covered walkways
yeah.
or admin offices, because that clearly
Right.
upset people.
Yeah.
No, when you explain, if you ripped out the front entrance to create a vestibule, you have to have an office somewhere.
It's
Yeah.
just, we could all, my thought is to sell it, that we're improving.
Yeah,
the
for
kids'
kids,
lives.
is- yes, for sure.
Yeah. But, I
A
don't
lot
know.
of a lot of the covered areas came from, well, kids are walking into the multi-purpose like gym space, in the middle school with wet shoes and they're slipping and it's a hazard. So we need to have covered for that. So there are a lot of nuances to the the conversation, but it's doesn't really show up in a list.
And you'll see in all of these options that we've not done anything for in relation to the football, soccer field. Because we plan on using the grant for the turf and then using your Frontier Charter money to do it. So,
Yeah, on the high school,
yeah,
the one thing is what those bathrooms. I like to see that. The upgrade, science lab.
yeah.
So all four of the project lists are hanging, so if there are any that you're ready to vote on, feel free to walk up.
Provide the restroom. So. Hey, Angie, did you have a question or was that a hand up from last night?
It would be in that.
Oh.
add-on.
Okay, and this. one's
Sorry,
covered.
no, I'm good. I don't think I can
Okay.
see what you guys
Yeah,
are voting
so
on,
there
so
are
I'll
rest-
look at it tomorrow.
Okay,
And then there would be restrooms in the admin block.
Okay,
probably
okay,
like
then
two
it's fine.
per gender.
And this is.
And that's a covered.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, sorry, the hatch pattern.
No, no,
that
it's
little
fine.
pattern,
I'm just trying
there's
to.
a key for it.
Oh, okay,
That was from the old.
okay.
But that question comes up a lot. Well, why couldn't we just put the new addition right up against the building?
Right.
And you can, but then there has to be a fire separation between them. So you end up spending a lot of money.
Well, I was trying to
Making that
figure out
wall
why this
firewall.
wasn't closer this way and that way, but that would make sense.
Yeah, you have to have 30 feet.
Got it.
If you don't have a rated wall.
Okay, then that's fine.
You could do it. You could do anything. but You don't want to waste your money on a firewall.
You remember when we walked with Marion, they put those two buildings together and that one wall that they were talking that.
Yeah.
Our contractor friend
Yeah.
that talked to us about and things like
Yeah.
that, so. You know,
If you have the space to give 30 feet, then that's roughly it. You could spend your money on things. Should really be.
Dandy, this is Tony. Can I ask a question?
sure, Tony.
Because I can't see anything, how do the students, the staff, how do you go from one building to the other? Is there a corridor that connects them? Do you see what I'm asking?
Yes. It's a covered, yeah, it's covered walkway.
Is there any way we can get it? Can you scan this in?
Well, she'll see it Monday night. Yeah,
So yes, you are covered throughout all the new buildings.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. For tomorrow.
She actually, I think, copies from.
Yeah, yeah.
So they know.
Yeah, that was their idea. Where's the, on the elementary school, where was that outdoor covered? Where did that, I know it got grayed out, but where was it? Oh, right here, right?
Infrastructure.
Yeah, right there.
How would you reach?
Oh, excuse me, thank you.
Could be, there may be. I've seen them also been prefab. Covered outdoor areas as prefab, pre-engineered. But I don't know, I was. It's just like a pole barn without the sides on it.
Yeah.
But you still need to put footings and.
Yeah, right.
Lighting and if it's
Asphalt.
close to a building, you need to sprinkler it.
Yeah.
Too, which is.
Yeah.
So I think that's, 500 is a good.
Yeah.
Placeholder.
Yeah.
For the amount of.
The amount of
space that you have.
Okay.
To give
Yeah.
a point of reference, we just got a cost for a 2-classroom modular with a restroom in it. For Modern Building Systems. And it's a new, brand new. They had one ready. And to put that on the site, and bring all the plumbing and electricity to it, do all the grading and site work needed, was between $375 and $400. And then it's so much more than it was like 5 years. 700, yeah.
What we got?
To do stick built, it's still quite expensive to do stick built, so
You'd be running the
probably
same place.
around $500 a square foot. So it'd be around 500K. So it's about a 2,000 square foot building. So you're saving, you're paying 80% of what you would for stick built to have the portable. It used to be like half. So now. it's
Right,
more-
yeah, no, it was
Now it's more like 80%, which is it's still significant. I mean, it adds up.
longevity
Oh, definitely.
would be more.
Oh, yeah. Place the veneer on it. You could replace the HVAC system. You could choose exactly what you want. Everything is custom, whatever you wanted to do with it. So,
Where the modern, the modulars are set to what they are.
yeah,
Just-
there are certain things you can change, but the more you customize it,
The more it
the
costs.
higher the cost goes.
So at that
If
point-
you add brick to it. that cost. So if you wanted a long lasting siding like brick, that would be a stick built.
Interior. Yeah, and.
That's really unfortunate. That's how much it's gone.
But I think, like I said, it's because it's, you just don't know. Like anything else, like everything in this world.
The blue is, we want to move it, right?
Yes, blue is put it back in the bond. Red is, let's put it in the save for later column.
I had any of those.
Blue, can you give me the color codes again? Sorry.
Sorry. Blue sticker means add it to the bond,
Add, okay,
and the red sticker means move it out of the bond into the later, if we have later there.
So the red
Okay.
is the.
Late, save for later, I didn't have any.
I didn't, yes.
Yeah, I was.
We don't need to worry about
You should have heard, I think it was Tucker who said, I thought the goal was to be cutting things out, not adding a bunch of things back into the. And we're like, well, when everything is so bad, how do you?
the middle. I didn't have anything, everything was pretty much there.
And all the
Where's
costs.
Elementary, that one.
Oh, sorry, elementary, and then the other project list. Sports.
Yeah, that's-
All of the construction costs that are on there have also been adjusted to current rates.
Yeah.
Oh, well, right, it's
Yeah.
right, especially on that one.
Yeah, I can't.
This one, I'm like, oh, God, dang it, on the other project, but you know, but it's just like, I don't even wanna
Yeah.
deal with that one. Almost,
The HVAC system just.
that's the one for you up on
On the high school one too, man.
start, yeah.
You sent me an email about the federal
Yeah.
grants.
Yeah, there's a new grant that we just came aware of.
Oh, that's
Um,
good, maybe we could
That
get that.
would do the HVAC.
Yeah.
We're really good. candidates
I
for
think
that
so
grant.
too.
Okay, well,
It's like a
we-
$300 million
Yeah.
set aside out of Biden's infrastructure bill. And I mean, I just counted up how many HVAC things, I think we've got like 1.4.
Yeah.
I can't see how we would not be a good.
I think it'd be a great candidate. I just had a meeting with, McKinstry
Yeah.
Engineers.
Yeah.
Who do HVAC, they do
Uh-huh.
facility assessments between all of them, all sorts of things, but they are, because in order to receive the grant, you have to go through, I don't know all the words, ESCO or like the proper provider that is guaranteed to, do,
Uh-huh.
and they are licensed to do it.
Yeah.
And so, we met with them just to find out, learn what
Yeah.
that grant is.
Well, that is, it's the same with that train, is that company
Yeah.
is, the
Oh,
government went out for
okay.
an RFP.
And Train qualifies also?
qualifies, yeah.
Interesting. Because Train is a manufacturer of HVAC equipment.
Yes.
McKinstry, they're just engineers.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
just.
right.
God bless them. But they're engineers, so they could design or specify to whatever.
So I'm gonna call Hilda. That's our grant writer.
Okay.
And have just a quick meeting with
Yeah.
her, point her to the direction where the facility assessments are.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna give her this
Uh-huh.
and say, this is what we're needing.
Yeah. I will give you the two McKinstry contacts I
Okay.
have.
All right, good.
They put together this nice little presentation to
Oh.
explain the grant. and
Okay,
all the
very
things you
good.
need to do
Yes.
To qualify.
Yeah, let's do
It
it.
was really handy for us
Okay,
to
very
understand
good,
it, because there's a
good.
lot of ins and outs. in it.
Yeah, because the position paper, or the paper is due at the end of January, right? The
Yeah.
Initial paper.
Yeah. So I'll send that.
I
to you
think,
tomorrow.
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I think we're really good candidates for that.
Really nice.
Yeah, because you are just a little over a million. For all of it.
Yeah. And the population we serve, the age of our building, I just think it's.
Check all those
We
boxes.
check all the
Yeah.
boxes and we've done all of the pre-assessment. Great.
Yeah.
I can totally see where
Well,
we.
can you- well,
And, something that McKinstry brought up is not a lot of people know about this grant
No,
yet.
they do not.
Because I was like, why haven't I heard about this? It's due at the end of January.
The only reason I heard about it is because when I went to the Coastal Law Conference,
Mm.
at the pre-conference, I was at the Oregon Small Schools Conference, and the person that is the chair of that knows about all of
Just
this. He's like,
happened to
I'll send
know.
you the information. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's the first round
Yes.
of grant, like
Mhm.
passing out money
Yes.
or whatever it's called, so of distribution.
Yes,
It's the first
uh-huh.
distribution round,
Yeah.
so now's the time to do it. Because
Totally.
by the second round.
Yeah,
everything
it'll be,
will be fun.
it'll be cutthroat by then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, McKinstry is
Yeah.
ready and
Excited.
raring to go.
Yeah,
and I
good,
was
okay,
like,
send me that
I know a
information.
district that would be a
Yes.
great fit.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that could,
That would give AC in the gym.
That would be
would
great.
give us AC everywhere. And then allow us to save our ESSER funds, to try and save staff for another 2 years. So,
I don't have any. Well, other than the outdoor thing, but.
do you want to add that, Henry, on that?
No. I don't. I think your thoughts was. As far as that size of money and things there, and there's.
I think once you get the football field paid for, the bond is going to pass. And then you can start picking off things that you're like, okay, well, we can use this money to do that and that money to do this.
I see it both sides as far as
Yeah.
the exterior look, you're right.
And I want to do some kind of graphic, when we start, I was talking to our marketing ad agency about, how when you watch those HGTV home improvement shows.
Oh,
where
my
the
kids are hooked on that.
graphic swoops in. Let's do this wall, let's do this.
Yeah.
We'll set this building here. Like, I don't want to give them anything specific, like, how come in the drawing you said there were gonna be 5 windows and now there's only 8, you know, there's,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to get that specific, but I want them to see the swooping in of,
Like a mass.
yes,
We talked about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, I just had a conversation today.
Yeah,
Somebody that
okay,
will be working on it, but it'll be enough to show you the size and
Yeah.
where things are and put some cars and people and trees.
Right,
for
exactly.
scale.
Get them to
but it-
understand why we have to increase the parking lot area when you move the building and.
But not use offensive colors.
Right.
Some people
Yes.
vote with by color, like, I don't like it, blue or
I'm
whatever.
not voting yes, because it's
We've
blue.
had that experience. Colors are very political.
Okay. So Angie will come in and make her dots tomorrow or let us know.
Is it better that we have more dots? Cause I agree with the HVAC stuff.
Yeah,
That's the whole
I
principle.
think it's, I mean, it's not better or worse. I think if we're kind of coming to a consensus about being able to prioritize, that makes the job easier.
Well, I definitely think the air conditioning and the HVAC is like so important.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but like when I'm in that gym or when people.
Oh, it's terrible.
like, it's fun.
But there's not like cool in the valley. You're gonna be hot in any gym during the summertime. You're watching that kind of stuff.
Yes, but it's just like,
I understand, but sometimes you gotta make some.
It's a good advertisement for a cooling center, you know, for our community.
Oh, look at
Community
you.
center.
Yeah,
she had mentioned that, like,
that's pretty good there. Yeah, that's a public sector thing. Yeah.
So,
and there's.
okay, so anything else specifically that you want Rebecca and I to tackle before we go to our meeting next week?
Oh, you guys are doing great.
I'll leave the stickers here then.
Okay,
Another-
thank you. I'll give them back to you Monday. No, I'll take a picture. Okay, that's it.
You're done? Yeah.
All right, cool.
We're adjourned.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so
Bye,
much.
Bye.
Bye. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year. Thank you. And almost happy Christmas. Bye.